Well, good morning, gardeners. I hope everybody's having a good day. It is a windy day here in Zone 8A in North Carolina, and I am learning a lot. Never stop learning. And I'm going to show you a couple lessons that I've learned this year so far. And if it's any indication of the year, we're going to be learning a lot more this year. The first one is going to be all about spinach. So this spinach here, I remember I was out here a couple weeks ago and we were harvesting. I was like, oh, look, it's doing so great. It's doing good. And sure enough, it's bolted. It's starting to stretch. And even in the last day, you can see this one's really doing it. The leaves are getting smaller. It's just not a good situation. Now, I've been stumped about this because it hasn't been crazy hot. We've actually had a real spring this year. And it's been cool. We did have a couple warm days, but then it cooled back off. And it's been cool at night and just temperate during the day, but it's still bolted and I didn't understand why. So I dug deep. And what I learned, spinach bolts because of temperature, but it also bolts by length of day. And so it's when you have 14 hours or more of sunlight a day. So I said, well, there's no way. I didn't believe it. And then I went and I looked at how much sun we were getting a day, and we were at 14 hours and 3 minutes. And considering we get about 1 to 2 minutes extra every day, it made sense. So it's been bolting. So this just continues the spinach saga for us for this year, and we're gonna keep working at it, but that's just the tip of the iceberg. There's been so much more we've learned about. Another one are these peas. I mean, I remember saying I didn't think they were gonna make it, and by God, they made it, and they are huge. And I guess it's just, you gotta be patient. And I mean, patience is everything when it comes to gardening, and I really didn't think they were gonna make it. I planted these in like November of last year. It was like 2 sprigs for the whole winter, looked like crap, and now it's like I can't even contain them. I can't stay on top of them. They're sticking 3 feet out on the other side. They're taking over the bed. It's wild what they're doing. And same on this side. I mean, this is only one plant. This right here is one plant. The other ones had died off. I said I was gonna leave it, whatever, we'll deal with it. But no, it had other things on its mind. And so it's just being patient and taking your time and just letting it kind of play out and not getting like super crazy excited, because I would have never guessed that this would have been anything like this. So the other thing I learned is about the variety of pea. So I'm out here and I'll show you some peas that I've been watching. Taking a break the past couple of years from growing snow peas. And you know, usually when you grow snow peas, this is about what you want it at. These are sweet peas or snap peas, and you want them to be more filled out. And what I'm noticing, and it doesn't really work for me very well, is it takes a long time for them to get to that point. We just had a really bad windstorm, so everything's kind of pushed over. So everything that I thought I knew where it was isn't now, which is another headache. But here's some. So yeah, this one is getting there, and this one is too. And these are about a week after I'd normally pick my snow peas. So if you look at this whole plant, it's covered with peas. And I would have been harvesting all of these and eating them already, but I can't do it just yet with these. So I'm thinking I may just be sticking to snow peas in the future. It works a little bit better for me. You harvest them quicker, you get a lot more. And I mean, we're looking to tear these down soon because of the temperatures, and we want to get other stuff in its place. So we're kind of just learning about that in the process as well. So that's another big lesson that we've learned. Now, onions have been teaching me a lesson too. And these are really important because they actually stay in the ground just about longer than any other vegetable that we have. And when I look at my bed, it just looks like a total mess. So you can see here, they've been beat up, they've fallen over, the wind's gotten to them. I mean, we have weeds that pop up that we need to stay on top of a little bit better. And my first initial reaction was like, hey, I need to fix this. But then I just left them, and you can see they just kind of, they work themselves out. You know, they're starting to bulb, so we're going in the right direction, and it's working out good. We planted 96 onions in this bed. We will not get 96 onions, but that's okay. I had anticipated a little bit of die-off, which is always expected, especially with something like this when it's going through the rough part of winter. It's been really windy, and I mean, everything is just kind of all mixed matched and falling over and twisted, and we didn't want to just pull it up and be done with it. We're going to be patient. We're going to stay the course, let them run all the way to the end and see what happens. And I mean, it's tough too because the garlic hasn't really been affected at all by the wind, but the potatoes have. This is just another mess. And I mean, it's been over the last week, they have just collapsed. They got too tall. The wind has been brutal. We've had 40-mile-an-hour winds. Everything's laying over. And luckily, most things are going the way that I've been saying I want them to go. The only thing is this back row. And so behind it, underneath, you can see we have our beans. So we really want those beans to start climbing soon so they can get a little bit more sun, but we can always replant if we have to. But the wind has been a big issue for us, and it will continue to be a big issue for us. But we're gonna stay the course, and we're not gonna change anything. The other thing's gonna be in the greenhouse. I was worried that this was gonna be too hot, and it has been warm in here, but we have not seen any major issues with these tomatoes here. These are all husk tomatoes or ground cherries, whatever you want to call them, and they are growing a lot. They are growing fast, and they are looking strong. And same with these zucchini plants here. They are just growing. We're starting to get a lot of buds now. So we should be starting to get some female buds soon, which means we can start pollinating them. But even the okra here is doing well. It's growing and it's getting bigger. Jury's still out, and I may have miscalculated a little bit of the heat factor in here. It definitely gets hot, and I was worried that it was going to cause an issue with the beds and the greenhouse in general and really stunt the growth, but it has not seemed to do that yet, and it has worked out in my favor. So my hope is that I will continue to grow throughout most of the season in here and be able to harvest and enjoy it, and it'll definitely be warmer and need more water. But the early spring heat, it's been 93, 94 degrees in here a few times. We are not even dropping blossoms on these ground cherries yet. They're just getting ramped up. So we should be okay. I mean, I think in about a week, we're gonna get back up into the mid 80s again. So that'll mean it'll be pushing about 99, maybe 100 in here. So we may start to see it. But as of right now, I overestimated or underestimated the heat. I don't know how to say that just right, but either way, I thought in my heart of hearts that it could be very well be a very short growth season here and not even get to test anything, but it seems that we're not actually working out that way, and it's going to be a little bit better. Now, it is too early to tell, and so there is that part of it, but moving forward, we know that, hey, maybe this is going to be a viable option in the future. Maybe we're cooling it better. Maybe the shade cloth is helping, but whatever it is, all the little steps we've taken have added up to make a big difference. And so this one's not really a lesson learned, but it's an affirmation that we did the right thing. So we really were guessing about when to plant this bed here, and this is mostly peppers in this bed. And we planted them what we thought was on time, and then it got a little bit cool, and we were kind of worried about it. But as you can see, everything's looking good. It's green, it's growing. And it's been an affirmation that following the weather really did help in making that judgment call, and sometimes stepping out of our comfort zone to plant something is a little bit better. I mean, just because there's a calendar that tells you when to plant something, maybe you don't have to follow it by the T, and you can use your judgment because the climate's changing. Whether you like to admit it or not, global warming or not, doesn't matter. It's a little different than it used to be, and it's going to continue to change, and it may get cooler in the future. With El Nino coming back, it's going to very well be a cooler winter this year, so we may have a cooler spring next year. But in our area, we can go from spring straight to summer. Actually, I said that wrong. We can go from winter straight to summer, and this year we've actually had a spring, but it's kind of worked out in our favor. As we start to turn the corner more and more, we can see that this cool weather hasn't really done anything too bad to them. And what it's actually done is it's given a lot of these plants time to relax and get their roots comfortable, so when the heat does kick in, they'll start to grow more and more. And so the moral of the story is, like, I don't think as gardeners we've ever learned everything, and you're just going to continue to learn more each year. And that's what I love about it, is we're always learning. Every year I learn something different. I could have grown the same plant 15 times, but I keep learning every day.